This is the second time I've played guitar and sang since March, so don't judge me, all right? Don't judge me.
I'm judging you. You sound great.
Yeah, let's hear this. Let's hear this.
Well, I'm sorry. Just one thing. When they asked me to come and speak tonight, I had only one condition. I told Mike Cody, please do not put me on before Mike Powell. Because, you know, we've seen it happen before. I come out here, I get all the women worked up, and then poor Mike Powell has to come out and follow them. I mean, it's embarrassing. It's not fair to Mike, but we are really excited and very, very pleased that Mike could be here tonight. It's only right. Ladies and gentlemen, our friend Mike Powell.
Thank you. I got a quick story for everybody here. A real quick one. But this was maybe 2 or 3 years ago, and I was playing a set at Ray Brothers Barbecue in Bowkerville, New York. And I was set up in the corner, and I had my stuff all set up, and I was playing my sad folk songs in the corner, and nobody was paying any attention whatsoever. Yep, you know what I'm talking about. And in walked this fellow with a camera, and he sat right in front of me. Everyone was kind of dispersed around the restaurant. He sat right here, and he was completely tuned in. And as a performer, a songwriter especially, for someone to sit there and pay attention, speaking from a songwriter's point of view, that's all you need sometimes. It's just somebody to pay attention, and if they tell you it sucks, that's like the best compliment ever. It really is, because it means they were paying attention, it means they're honest. And he sat there, it was Brian Cornish, he sat there, and I didn't know it at the time, but I would become great friends with this man. And I didn't know this when I picked up playing guitar in my 20s, that I would become friends with a lot of musicians and people around the music life, and it's become a big part of me. And I realized after the COVID shutdown thing, just how important it was to me, and just how important it was to my social life. And I sat there this morning trying to think about what I remember that I could play. And it was 2 years ago, I played over in that corner of this building. And at the end of the night, I had just finished my set, and Brian came up to me and he said, hey, I'm not a songwriter, I'm not a singer, I don't know how to play any instruments, but I do like to write. And he goes, if it's okay, I'd like to email you some words that I've written. And I pulled up that email again today, this morning, and I put music to those words. And I wanted to play that for Brian here tonight, and for all of you. And no promises. You know, Brian, you've been to enough shows. I don't remember my own songs, so I can't promise anything here.
I heard you drop a few claps.
And I just, as I sat there, I played this song. I tried to figure out the music to it, and I think Brian sent it to me for a reason. I don't think, I think he knew that I would gravitate towards it, and as a songwriter, it's real easy to flip that switch and get into a song, and when you're writing something, it's almost like a movie in your head, and you can kind of picture things unrolling. And I think Brian chose this particular group of words to send to me because he knew that I would immediately be invested in the story. And the more that I worked on it and the more that I played it, I thought to myself how much this particular song, whether he knew it at the time, but it is so Brian Cornish, this song. The more that I thought about it and the more that I tried to figure it out. And it's nothing fancy, Brian. The accompaniment is the same chords I always play. All right, so
Ain't nothing fancy.
there's nothing fancy about it. And I have the guy that I first started, when I first started playing music, the guy that ran the open mic is here, Colin Aberdeen. Colin. And I remember seeing Colin play, and he's one of those guys that, as a guitar player, you sit down and you watch him play, and you're like, well, what else could I do? I don't know. Maybe I should play the trumpet. But I've followed Colin closely, and he became a big mentor of mine. He didn't know it, but I would study him every Tuesday at the Limerick pub in Syracuse. I would go down there, and while other people were getting drunk and dancing along to his music, I was getting drunk and watching his left hand. And this song is similar to something that Colin would play, I think. And it's a song Brian called Tulsa. And I'm not going to, I only changed one part, Brian. I couldn't get the song to turn around. All right, so I changed one part, but 2 words, actually. I only changed 2 words. That's all I needed to get me back around into it. But I've mentioned this before. I love people that love with their entire heart, and that's why I love Brian Cornish. The song is beautiful. I hope I don't mess it up. He had a face that could hold 3 days of rain. It was the 4th of July and they were headed on a westbound train. I've already lost it, Brian. We're gonna start it over. And I thought about that on the way here too. I said, I'm gonna screw it up, but you just gotta make it funny, Mike, and everything will be okay. So I'm gonna play you the long version now. And it goes like this. He had a face that could hold 3 days of rain. It was the 4th of July and they were headed on a westbound train. I asked him, where you going? He said, not as far as where I've been. But if you're headed out to Tulsa, I could use a friend. His hands held her ashes in a box engraved with her name. He said, my name is Jerry. I laughed and said, mine's the same. And though the box may read Teresa, everybody called her Jane. Oklahoma Jane. Tulsa's where I met her. Tulsa's where I'll set her down. I was driving semis. She was tending bar outside of town. Slinging drinks in a place they called the Twist and Shout. I walked in one night, 6 hours later, and I walked out. And though the box may read Teresa, everybody called her Jane. Oklahoma Jane. Out past Tulsa on the banks of the verdigris, where the grass grew up past our knees. We lie awake at night, look up and name the stars. But now I just can't remember which of them were ours. In the box, Mary Teresa, but everybody called her Jane. Oh, Oklahoma Jane. I could still hear her laughing when we get caught there in the rain, eating deep fried pickles, drinking cheap champagne. That's my favorite line of the entire song. That one is Brian Cornish to a T right there. When I read that, like I was reading the song and I was like, this is really good, this is cool. And then eating deep fried pickles and drinking cheap champagne. I said, this guy has the greatest sense of humor. And I love it so much. When people can blend humor with love, it's a beautiful thing, and he did it in this song. And here's another good one, too. Remember this one? We're playing Crazy Eights. Well, she tried to dry her hair. Now she's in that box and I'm playing solitaire. Though the box Mary Teresa, but everybody called her Jane. Oh, Oklahoma Jane. I'm not long for this world, so I guess I'll just state it plain. I just want someone to remember Jane. So I made that man a promise, and even if I can't say why. So if you're ever down in Tulsa on the 4th of July, I won't be eating pickles or drinking cheap champagne, but you can join us at the billboard that reads, Remember Jane. And though the box Mary Teresa, everybody called her Jane. Oh, Oklahoma Jane. One more time. And though the box Mary Teresa, everybody called her Jane. All together now. Oh, Oklahoma Jane.
I truly thought that was inspiration. I was lost in it, and it's just beautiful again. Doesn't ever see it on one.
Love you too. Love you too. And I only cried 4 times when I was putting that together. All right, I only cried 4 times.
I want to cry alone.
Well, that's the best song I have. Now what? Oh man. I'm not kidding. Is that not a great song? That's such a great song. Music is just incredible, man. Like I watched The Old Man and they played Grandpa Was a Carpenter, and like it brings me right back to my living room as a kid. And music has the ability to transport us all over the world, and Brian knows that. And that's, I think that's why we get along, part of it, and we both have bad sense of humor. Well, good. Dan's, well, he's on the fence.